Yeah, I want to do a response to Dougbass654's video about the lone wolf syndrome amongst the preppers. This Covina man. Um, I like Dougbass654's videos because he asks questions that the common man would answer or would ask around the prepper subject. And unlike some people, I've seen videos where people actually lived through uh, SHTF and returned from the future and made videos describing exactly how many people are going to die and why people are going to die. And these time travelers have all the answers. Dougbass is just answering or asking some questions which somebody like me would actually ask as well. But with the lone wolf syndrome, I thought for me, I would want to put things into context. I always like the context of describing or answering a question. So I have to take a moment to put it into a context. And is a lone wolf, is that a bad or a good idea? And of course, I got to start with, what is SHTF and what are people's view on what that is, and that is relevant on whether or not lone wolf is a good or bad idea. And for many in the prepper community, survivalist community, that basically when the shit hit the fan, it's talking about, FEMA camps and government's going to exterminate everybody and round them up. And it's going to be a permanent WROL. Government's going to make Sterling Green and black helicopters enforcing martial law. There'll be no grid services, cable TV, no water, no power, no gas, no gasoline, no ATMs, no credit cards. So it's a all-out grid down situation. And my first challenge in setting up the context is, why is that? Why does SHTF mean, FEMA camps and the UN is coming and the Bilderbergers or the globalists are coming and they're gonna, feed you off to or march you off to the camps of Auschwitz in the deserts of California or somewhere. Like, I'm not understanding why that is, because if you look at again the context and shit hitting the fan. In my context, I'm seeing things. There's a baseline. It was like how we living right now, and people going to and from work, drinking beer on the weekends or eating a face full of bacon and getting fat and having heart attacks and going to the dentist and all the regular stuff that people do from day to day. And then some major event happens. People describing the major event as SHTF, and then in my understanding of a situation, there's always going to be a response. There's an event, there's a response. There's a tornado, there's a response. There's an earthquake, there's a response. There's a hurricane, there's a response. The government has billions and trillions of dollars dedicated to responding to terrorism, to all kind of shit hit the fan scenarios. So there's going to be a government response, and I guess people see the government response to that is going to be FEMA camps and extermination in Soylent Green. That I'm not understanding why why that is, why people see that that's what it's going to be. I guess that's people's personal religious or personal ideology, shape of how they see the world, how they see themselves in the changing world and demographics and whatever, economics or whatever. But in most circumstances, there's a tornado or a hurricane, there's Hurricane Sandy or Katrina, or there's a local riot, or if there's a economic problem, there's always a government response, and then whatever the response is, there's a time frame, and when things return back to normal, whether people are happy with the normal or not, be a time frame. It could be 4 days, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 6 months or whatever. Where there's a response and there's a return back to normal, and everybody goes back to their life and they're stuffing their face full of bacon and watching the Olympics or doing whatever they do on the weekend, cutting the grass and everything. But for whatever reason, people see that once the shit hit the fan, that's the end of the society as we know it. We're never going to be the same ever again. So, in a lone wolf syndrome, first of all, I'm thinking that SHTF situation is very unrealistic, and so I have to look at responding to it as a lone wolf in that situation. Like, I can play the game of what if Batman versus Iron Man, what if the Terminator fought RoboCop. I can go science fiction, I can go comic book as if that's reality. I can play that game too. So if I play the game what if, and I put the lone wolf into the STHF situation, I would have to go back to what's the context. How long is that return back to normal? If it's 4 days, lone wolf can survive 4 days of shit hitting the fan. 2 weeks, they can survive 2 weeks, maybe even stretch it out to 6 months. Who knows? Depending on the capabilities of the lone wolf, that person could actually survive for 6 months, lone wolf. But people are just under the interpretation that when the shit hits the fan, everyone's gonna grab their AK or their AR-15 and their Mosin Nagant and their 5,000 rounds of 45 ACP, and they're gonna go out and defend the neighborhood, looking for thugs or rioters or defending against marauders or whatever. And that's the fantasy what if. Okay, this is a fantasy what if. Okay, let's play that game. Okay, if the lone wolf, they're not gonna survive very long being a lone wolf in a fantasy sci-fi zombie apocalypse situation. So there's going to be a limit. But if I have to play the what if game, yeah, that's where it's going to be. But if you have to step back into reality, if you have to leave the science fiction world, step back into reality world, I'm going to say the whole idea is preposterous, and that nobody is going to survive if there's some shit hit the fan for very long. I really just don't think that type of science fiction movie fantasy is anywhere near reality. And I just don't think that a rational person is going to prepare to be a lone wolf in a science fiction movie if you're staying in reality.